I was actually working with the Army in their modernization arena when our local bowling center was going up for auction. It was going to close. And ultimately, we were trying to figure out how a bunch of our veterans could generate a revenue source that could use to support the post without asking the community for donations all the time.
Right.
And so that's we were exploring different options at the time, and then we heard that the bowling center was going to close, and we're like, I wonder. So we did some investigation in it, and it hadn't had any work done in a long time, and it was aged, and so it was going to need a lot of work. But we're like military guys; we can pretty much do anything. And we had a great group of guys that five of us all together, all the services. We had longtime military guys, short timers, officer, enlisted. The skill sets was amazing. Had people tell us that a board, if you're going to have a board for a nonprofit out there, look for skill sets. And we had it, and we didn't have to look at all. It was actually really cool. But anyway, so how do we do this? And we ultimately said, hey, I guess we have to form a nonprofit corporation to do it. And we bid on the bowling center after we did that, and the we were the only bidder. It tells you something, I think, but still, okay, so now you're the owner of a bowling center that's failing. What are you going to do?
Right.
And roofs and lanes and furnaces and all the stuff that goes into making a bowling center work that we had to work on. Our, there were two stories that we hear all the time that the very first people that walked into the center after we owned it, this little kid leans over to mom and says, Mom, it smells funny in here. And we're like, oh boy, we got work to do. And that's when the center still had carpet on the walls.
Oh,
And our league guys would tell us all the stories about rooster tails throwing balls down the lane because all the water on the lanes from the roof. And yeah, obviously lots of issues. But I guess there's bowling centers all over the place with issues. And I guess we'll talk more about that as we go ahead. But that's our really history. I mean, I guess I should say a little bit about why it wasn't just about generating revenue for veteran functions. It's what that means. And when we got the bowling center, it the company that actually owns it is the Veterans Education Training and Support. And so all those
that's the nonprofit.
elements are part of our nonprofit mission. Oh, we recognized early on that there's most people have heard about the veteran suicide problem out there. And if you really look at it, we've had state reps in here and US representatives in here and that were veterans, and we're talking about the situations that veterans face and why those exist. And it all boiled down to is that when people go into military, they develop into a very tight knit bond from people from all walks of life and all backgrounds and stuff. And yet you have a camaraderie that's kind of unrivaled. When you actually put your life on the line for the guy next door, and it when you get out of the military, is a huge void. People don't realize until it's too late, till you're already out. And so you got this void in you and you're back in your community, and natural tendency is to isolate. And that's where your veteran suicide rates and a lot of the alcoholism and other kinds of issues that I have had, that military, all the PTSD, all that stuff compounds into it. But what we discovered is that even though I guess the military version is maybe the problem on steroids, is that there are plenty of people in our community that have the similar problems. And so if you think about what do you do with that? The medical community doesn't really know how to address it. It's not clinical in terms of, oh, I can make an appointment or take a pill for it.
Right.
What we're discovering is that it's a human interaction issue. And we don't really, those of us who aren't social science majors don't appreciate the people aspect of it. But that's what's going on in the military background. And hey, let's get them in here where we can kind of take all those skill sets and figure out how to reapply them in the local community. And do the job training and do the socialization and all that stuff. And what better than a bowling center?
Right.
Do that when it's already open to the public, and you get all kinds of walks in life that come in here, and anybody can bowl, right?
Hey, did you like this video? Great. We make 10 of them a week. Subscribe to learn more and keep learning about what's working in the industry. Talk to you then.